video, we're going to look at how to express was going to. We're already very good at expressing I am going to or you are going to. What happens now is we switch this into the past. So it becomes I was going to or you were going to. The most important sound for this in Spanish is iba. Notice we have two parts here, iba and a, but you'll often hear them contracted as simply iba. Now this sound will express four angles at once. So I was going to, he was going to, she was going to, it was going to. In Spanish is all expressed with iba. This is a modal verb, which means that after iba, we can add on pretty much any full verb that we like. When using this sound, I would like for you to visualize it as background. So this is description. In other words, we have a straight horizontal line, just the same as the past progressive. So we could have, I was going to see him. I was going to tell her. I was going to buy it. I was going to order it. Now, what we're doing here is simply setting the scene because we don't actually know if we saw him or if we told her. It was just the intention that we were going to do it. So for this reason, it belongs as background. It belongs as description. So always visualize it in this same way, just like the past progressive. Let's start with an example. I was going to do it. We would take the sound of iba and simply add hacerlo. So I was going to is all expressed with iba, and then to do it, hacerlo. Iba hacerlo. How would you say I was going to tell her? Iba decirle. I was going to buy it. Iba comprarlo. I was going to help him. Iba ayudarle. I was going to cancel it. Iba cancelarlo. I was going to study tonight. Iba estudiar esta noche. I was going to sell it. Iba venderlo. To express I wasn't going to, it simply becomes no iba. I wasn't going to tell them. No iba decirles. I wasn't going to use it. No iba usarlo. He wasn't going to wait. No iba esperar. She wasn't going to help me. No iba ayudarme. He wasn't going to pay. No iba pagar. She wasn't going to do it. No iba hacerlo. Next we move on to the angle of you were going to. We'll return to our most important sound of iba, and to that we'll simply add an S. So the a remains separate and the S comes in here, so the sound becomes ibas. Now here, I think it's best if you do split up, so you don't try to say ibasa, but you will say ibas a. You will separate it in this angle. For example, we want to say you were going to find it. That would be ibas a encontrarlo. You can hear the split there where I'm saying ibas a encontrarlo. Now you try it. You were going to find it. Ibas a encontrarlo. What about you were going to break it? Ibas a romperlo. How would you ask? Were you going to tell me? ¿Ibas a decirme? What about when were you going to tell me? ¿Cuándo ibas a decirme? How would you say you weren't going to? No ibas a. You weren't going to find it. No ibas a encontrarlo. You weren't going to tell me. No ibas a decirme. You weren't going to accept it like that. No ibas a aceptarlo así. In this last example, you can see we have two a sounds together. Now, this is where you probably would contract. So it would be no ibas a aceptarlo así. Now for the angle of they, we're going to, again, we'll return to our sound of iba, but this time we'll add in an n. So it becomes iban a. Again, try to separate those. How would you say they were going to call me later? Iban a llamarme más tarde. They were going to repair it. Iban a repararlo. They were going to sell it. Iban a venderlo. What about they weren't going to sell it? No iban a venderlo. Do you remember how to say on time? A tiempo. They weren't going to arrive on time. No iban a llegar a tiempo. They weren't going to tell us. No iban a decirnos. They weren't going to use it. No iban a usarlo. So now we have all the angles except one. So iba is I was going to. Ibas a, you were going to. Iba, he, she, or it was going to. And iban a, they were going to. We're just missing the angle for we. This in Spanish is íbamos a. Notice we have a stress here over the I, so make sure your pronunciation is íbamos. This is another one where in your pronunciation you will make a separation between íbamos and a. For example, how would you say, we were going to buy it tomorrow? Íbamos a comprarlo mañana. We were going to help him. Íbamos a ayudarle. Notice here again we have the a and a sounds together. This is why I contracted and just went to íbamos a ayudarle. What about we were going to visit you tomorrow? Íbamos a visitarte mañana. We were going to speak with him later. Íbamos a hablar con él más tarde. Here again, because the H is silent, you could also contract this sound. So, íbamos a hablar con él más tarde. That's also perfectly fine. Now we'll finish with a quick drill of 15 questions, using all the angles. How would you say, you weren't going to tell me? No ibas a decirme. I was going to buy it tomorrow. Iba a comprarlo mañana. If you said iba a comprarlo mañana, that's also perfectly fine. Either way. I wasn't going to sell it yet. No iba a venderlo todavía. You were going to break it. Ibas a romperlo. We were going to call him. Íbamos a llamarle. She was going to explain everything. Iba a explicar todo. They were going to help you. Iban a ayudarte. He was going to be here. Iba a estar aquí. We weren't going to order it. No íbamos a ordenarlo. I was going to do it later. Iba a hacerlo más tarde. They were going to cancel it. Iban a cancelarlo. She wasn't going to know. No iba a saber. They weren't going to discover it. No iban a descubrirlo. Were you going to tell me? ¿Ibas a decirme? We were going to go out tonight. Íbamos a salir esta noche.